Welcome to Know Your Money, where we will explore our relationship with money and how the psychology of it impacts our financial decisions, as everyone thinks about money differently. In our podcast, we'll be presenting a variety of financial topics in an easy-to-understand way, which we hope will assist you with managing your money. Welcome to Know Your Money, everybody. Craig, Warren, how are you guys today?
All good, thanks, Brian. That week went fast. Warren, that was quick that week, eh?
It was, and my head still hurts.
Shame we put you on the spot last time. Eh?
Yeah, Bronwyn's, she's intense, eh?
A good intense, I hope.
Obviously. This is what I say to my wife as well. It's very good.
This one's an exciting one, which maybe I understand a bit better.
Yes. So the third relationship is spending. Craig, what would you say is your relationship with spending?
Probably I'm a spender.
So that's something we spoke about.
Yeah, a while back. I've learned to become a much better saver. Spending is, you probably enjoy spending. That's my first thought. It's quite nice to spend. Yeah, I suppose that's spend and give it away. Quite enjoy that.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing. So for people that are overactive in spending, you've just pointed out one of the most important things, or the things that stick out the most, is the emotion that's linked to spending. What does that give for you? What does that do for you? If it's joy, then you're going to want to keep spending.
Correct.
Surely.
Yeah, for sure.
And what we try and do is, how do we create that same feeling in other areas? So how do we help you feel joy in keeping your money instead of spending your money? And I think a lot of what we have been saying in our podcast has sort of done that. So our conscious spending plan. So having those, being conscious of how you spend, or automating that a certain amount goes into an envelope.
Correct, yeah.
So that you can do something else, and then you can go spend it. Yeah. But it helped you keep it a little bit, so you felt the joy in keeping and not spending. And that's how we've got you sort of from overactive to a little bit more balanced in the feeling of spending.
So the previous episode where we were planning the next year, and we spoke about envelopes for holidays. Yes, that's right. So that's a spending envelope, but it's a joyful one.
Yeah, and you kept it first.
Kept it and then
spent.
Giving it away for the family. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's learning that new skill of the other thing. Because say for example, spending, those people that can never go on a holiday, it's because it's always sort of been spent and you're living month to month. And it's not to say this that, people that earn a little can just save. But there's in the book, The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel talks about a guy who was a janitor, and he just lived his life normally, but he had a savings gene, and when he died, I think he left $8 million or something to a charity. So it's just, I believe, one of those things, your beliefs, your mindset, your patterns, or something that can be adjusted to help you.
So let's flip it today. Bronwyn, tell me how you feel about spending.
No, don't do that. No. I'm joking. I am a massive spender. Definitely. Not like that I go and blow money. What I mean by that is the counter of that is I struggle to keep money.
But why is it, do you think, you'll enjoy spending money so much?
Because exactly like Craig was saying, the emotions that it brings for me is joy. It's also based on some patterns. So as a child, whenever, that's all I remember of my dad, is spending money. And it's not a bad thing. It would just be if we're going to an arcade, he'd give me money to spend. If we, going out for supper, we'd just spend it. So it does almost, spending is love. And when I spend on others, I get secondary gain and I feel good. And also the counter of that, and this is where it's quite important to look at all the different ones, is keeping is not a thing that I'm used to. I don't know how to keep money. I still don't know how to keep money, which is quite crazy, but I have worked on saving and growing money. So because of the conscious spending plan, where I give myself a certain amount per week, I spend all of that. So if it's 2,000 Rand, by Thursday, there'll be 1 Rand kind of left
But the good thing is that you don't then dip into another envelope, which doesn't allow it to become detrimental.
Absolutely, but that has taken practice and that has taken time and working on that balance. I'm getting to a point now where I can sort of keep more because I've worked on myself and worked on the balance of spending.
And again, we're going to why is it that I'm a spender? Why do I overactively spend? What are the emotions involved? Because until you start to identify, you won't be able to change behaviors.
And also your conditioning.
Yeah, but I think what you've done is amazing, that you've put in a parameter of a weekly spend and you stuck to that. That's amazing that you've done that. I mean, most people won't never do that, especially with the world of credit cards. And we've spoken about credit cards in the past. You can just spend. The more you spend, the more they give you, the more they give you, the more they spend. It's
very cynical, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a downward spiral. And then because you have a conscious spending plan in place, you have other areas of your life for long-term savings, emergency savings, and you've put those in place. And that doesn't deprive you on the fact that you get joy from spending.
Yes, I'm still allowed to get that feeling, but what I've learned to do is move that feeling into saving and growing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and can I ask a question, right? So if we relate this to the previous 2 episodes, so number 1 and 2 of the 7.
The receiving and the earning?
Yes. How do you feel when you spend what you've received versus what you spend what you've earned?
So I definitely feel better when I spend what I earn than to spend what I receive. But what I have always found is that, doing all of this work, I feel like I am very open to receiving. I feel like I'm overactive in receiving. And what I mean is, like, if someone says I'm going to pay for the lunch, it doesn't bother me like it bothers other people. But that's because I would do the same, if that makes sense. But sometimes it's not always good. And I feel as though like I receive from people, which allows me to earn as well. So I receive leads or I receive referrals. So it's a bit of both in a way, but they're seen as 2 different things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but then I'm saying how this will all tie together, I suppose, once we get to that 7th episode, on how these interact with each other, not just on their own. Because if you have a good relationship with spending money you've earned, but feel bad about spending money you've received, well, there's a conflict there, surely, that needs to be resolved. And again, it's doing all this personal work.
Absolutely. And it's those people, like they earn millions and millions, but they have no savings. They don't keep any of it. They just spend it because those 2 things give you pride and joy. Earning gives you pride. Spending gives you joy. How do we move those emotions to other areas? And I feel like often we are sort of getting stuck on emotions, but emotions is a big one. But it's also beliefs, like beliefs that all my money should be in the bank, or beliefs of YOLO, you only live once. So obviously you're going to spend everything.
The teenagers, yeah.
Exactly. Or your mindsets or your conditioning. Like if you've come from a space, where people had you didn't have anything growing up. You didn't have a nice house or a nice car, those kind of things. Now, when you are there, you're going to want the complete opposite of that potentially, or the same.
Yeah.
And I think
my wife does a lot of that. So they had to live frugally when she was growing up. And as a result, any opportunity to spend, she'll openly say it makes her feel good about herself.
Because when they spent when they were younger, it potentially made her feel good. So it's you want that feeling, you want that emotion, and when it comes to patterns, you potentially enjoy that pattern, or you want something different, or it's the only pattern for example.
I think that's hers. Yeah, it's how do I make myself feel better? I'm going to do some online shopping.
And I think it's the awareness, which I've picking up from these 3 episodes, the awareness of all of these areas and how it affects you.
I mean, if we go back to just for my woodworking business again, do you remember when I bought the bandsaw?
Yes.
It was a big step forward to me.
Yes.
I then had another big job come in where I needed a drill press. So I bought one and I use it all the time.
Fabulous. And how was that purchase versus the other one?
Much easier. Even though it was a large sum of money again, it was easier because I'd seen the benefit of my decision making with regards to the first tool. And I put the same thought process in, cost weighed the analysis, so to speak, and then realized, yes, it's worth it. And so I didn't feel guilty about buying it. I didn't second guess myself.
And this is the thing. So it would be sitting down and going, okay, so what is it that's changed? Is it beliefs? Is it mindsets? Is it your patterns? Is it your emotions?
I don't think it's my patterns. I think it's the emotion. I think it's the attachment I had to the way I used to think versus the way I now think about money. Especially with regards to my business. It's money's part of my inventory of tools. It's the ability to buy more tools. It's the ability to buy materials. It's not the same as the money I earn to then go enjoy myself, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing. So for you, it was emotions. For other people, it's different things that are linked to the thing that's going to go, oh, if I would just work on that, I'm going to change. Like you, from my view, have changed quite dramatically since I think we started at the beginning of the year, these podcasts. You're buying more expensive things, not in a bad way.
No, not at all. Not a showy way, but yeah.
You're earning more. You're a lot busier. So it's all these little discussions that really help a person change. And it's not to say like, what I've always said to people is like, I don't want you to stop your spending. Like if you're overactive in spending, I'm not trying to say rein your spending in. We can move everything else up for that to be your balance, if that makes sense. But everything needs to be balanced in order for you to feel balanced in your time, in your relationships, in yourself, and
you're
those
going to have
kind
to
of
find
things.
some sort of equilibrium where everything flows nicely and you're not overcompensating for one thing with the other. Right. And I think it's what Craig said a minute ago. It's just the awareness. That's what's changed with me, is the awareness of my emotional attachment to money in these 7 different aspects. And it's been a big change, yeah.
And it's so funny you say that, because that is one of my favorite quotes ever is awareness is like the sun. When it shines on things, they are transformed. Don't know how to say the guy's name, but quoting that guy. And it's so true. Like when the sun shines on leaves, they change different colors because it's been shined in that area. And this is what we're trying to do here, is help you see that you have different money languages or different relationships, and it's a specific one that you need to work on to help you have a better relationship.
100%.
Great one. Thanks, guys.
Awesome stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bye.
week. Cheers. Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast, would like to subscribe, please visit our website, www.growthfp.co.za. The information we have provided in this podcast is our personal opinion. For more detailed information, please discuss your financial situation with a financial planner.